So, revisiting the new commandment that Jesus gives, he says, "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. You are also to love one another." That's what Jesus says to his apostles there on the last night, the night when he was betrayed. And of course, last time we were together, I discussed the form that that takes, serving, sacrificing, suffering, and how difficult that is to love the other person because they're sinful. But I want to emphasize how difficult it is for us to do that because we are still sinful. Though God makes us new creatures, he begins his new creation work in us, we are still ever so sinful, distrusting God, perhaps trusting God at times, but dishonoring others by what we do. And I think it's important to keep in mind the distinction between passive and active righteousness. Our active righteousness would be loving others as Christ loved us, serving, sacrificing, suffering, spirit empowered to the glory of God, all hands on deck kind of love. But we're going to fail to do that often. And the point that I think the distinction about passive and active righteousness brings out is that we must never, ever, ever forget that Christ has loved us. Love one another as I've loved you. He has loved us to that extent, that greatly. He is our righteousness. He is the righteousness of all who look to him for their salvation. And he bore in his own flesh, he shed his blood, bearing our sins on the cross. And so we can easily accuse ourselves when we fail. We know the right thing to do. Often we don't do it. We must never forget the passive righteousness, which is receiving the righteousness of Christ for us. That gives us liberty and freedom, even as we stumble to fall forward and to just pick up the pieces and keep going as God enables us, not to wallow in thinking that we're not at peace with God, or that we're not accepted by God, or that we're not loved by God, but that we are at peace, are accepted, and are loved because of Christ, our righteousness, who is our life, who still commands when we fail to love others as I've loved you. So love others that way, serve, sacrifice, suffer, but never forget that he has loved us completely and exhaustively, not just during his earthly incarnate ministry, but even now, when we struggle as to love others as we ought. Be blessed.